Hey, welcome back for another lesson. We're checking out Metallica's Shortest Straw. Tuning for this is EADGBE standard tuning. So let's just get started on this. The first thing, real crunchy. Pretty harsh on the... If you can see that, I'm not actually going... It's just an open... to the G5 power chord. To the B flat. You can see how I transition there. It's pretty straightforward. Then you just get into that sort of like a main riff. So it's a pretty shuffly feel sort of song. It's not too straightforward. It's not like most of the other Metallica songs where it's all... there's a lot more upstrokes and a lot more sort of backbeat style rhythms. So I'll just play through the intro pretty slowly. It's such a straightforward sort of intro. There's not a real great deal to talk about with it, but you could just see that there's not much to it. It's just a cool riff that goes around, and a B flat, a G, an F sharp, an F, and a E. It's just all those, and you're just palm muting between the notes and keeping it tight. There's not a lot really to talk about. So it gets into that cool riff, which is worth talking about. So right after the F to E5 power chord, it's not much of a pause, and you're straight into a slide up on the A string to the 7th fret. Right, so this one, it's a little bit of a slurry riff. It's almost like a Pantera, Dimebag sort of riff. So what you have to do when you play this, you can see I'm just giving a quick bend on that 7th there, on the D. It's only a half bend. And that's how James does it. If you can get that timing there, it's like a 2 down. You got to... That's how I keep the timing with this and keep it solid. As soon as you hit that open E5 again, you really have to come down hard on that E5, and straight away and then you'd say that repeats 3 times. On the 4th time, instead of going to the F on the upstrokes, instead of doing that, you go to the G power chord. Back into the E then. Hit that open E again before going into that riff. And then we do the 5th time, we hit the A. We're not actually hitting the root note of the A, we're hitting the 2nd fret on the D and G string. But they're on the upstrokes, coming down on that E between the... if you can do that. Back to that E. It's always, I'm not letting that A open ring out at all. At that point, you slide up to the 5th on the E string. And then we follow it up with the way I actually have my fingers placed for this part. If you can see that, that's the easiest way that I see it. Straight after you get to that, it's you do hit that open 6th string for a second. So it's like a shuffle. So we'll just play that that intro again. We'll just get that part right because this is the hardest part of the song. So if we can get that right, the rest of the song is pretty straightforward actually. So and now we're into the verse. So hopefully just seeing that played nice and slow makes all the sense. And get that timing with all those little notes. That's the critical thing here, is making it sound the same as the way James plays. So that's what we're going to try and concentrate on here, getting those riffs to sound the same as he does them. So anyway, we're into the verse now. If you can see that, it's a pretty simple, straightforward riff from the F to the G, and you just got to remember that same and that keeps your timing nice and sharp for the descending. And when I'm doing the shuffle on those chords, I'm actually doing, I'm letting go for so there is open chords ringing between those, and that keeps on going a few times, and then you get to the bridge section, exactly the same, repeats, but it comes up to the F sharp. And this part here, you just have to be quick with your left hand to move your bar chord around or move the power chords around. I'll just play it nice and slow. So you can see it's exactly the same structure, but instead of, you have to go back to the second every time. And eventually that works its way back to the last time around, just when you're building up to the chorus there and you're descending on the, hit that open E5 again and straight back into that opening riff. And now we're getting into the chorus. As soon as you hit that F5 and you're about to go back into playing the open E, we go straight to the B, and it's on the album there. You can hear one guitar does this, the other guitar right at that point where it finishes, it's on the D string, second to 3. If you can follow that. So to get into that chorus again, Right there, you think it should be going to an E5 power chord here, but what I hear on the record, he goes up to the E5 power chord on the A. To the B to the C. So hopefully you saw that transition there. Now, one thing to point out, because a lot of this repeats 3 times during the song for the verses and choruses and so forth. For the first 2 times in the song, when we're doing that, you go to the A the first 2 times. But on the very last time, in the last chorus, as the song winds up, you actually have to go to the D there. So just keep that in mind. And then we get back into that opening riff again. That whole second verse is exactly the same. Nothing changes. One thing I want to point out with that main riff in the song, that so as that continues around, we do the G thing and then we get to the A. The first time, the timing with that is the second time though, at the end of the verse, this is the only change between the verses. That timing on that descending G, F sharp changes. So this is how it's played the second time around. Again, we'll just do it nice and slowly. So you saw that? It's definitely different when you're playing along with the song. If you miss that, it sounds like you're out of time. So at the end of the second verse, when we're building up for the solo and they're doing the right at that point, you're hearing Kirk do the. At the same time, the chords James is playing there. It's just an E5 power chord. Now it goes to an. He's just slowly creeping up from the E to the F. The F sharp is just, all you do is touch that note and you strum down on the top 3 strings. It's pretty epic chordness. It reminds me a lot of something that was on Master of Puppets for Battery or something, but at that point, the solo for Kirk starts and James just goes back into that same riff. Okay, he plays that a few times and then it gets to an actual break where there's a pause in the rhythm work. And right at that pause, James plays. So hopefully you can see that. So it starts off with the and you just repeat that same thing twice. Same chords as before, but we're just moving up 2 frets. And the same dissonant. So that chord there is. gets to that point, and Kirk finishes his solo, and it sounds like the song goes something like that, because James plays the first part, Kirk does the second part, and James and Kirk join in on that F. Apart from just the tail end, how the song finishes, and that's exactly how the song winds up. I've shown you every riff, and it's just a matter of you putting it all together now and playing the song. It's